I do believe Catherine just started our live stream for our meeting. Thank you, Catherine. And I believe to be present for roll call today, all members will have to have their videos on and unmuted when I do roll call here in just a moment. Okay, great. Welcome everybody to the Advisory Committee on the General Schedule for state agencies and local agencies. Today is Thursday, August 14th, 2025, excuse me, 10 a.m. And I do want to start off with roll call today. We'll begin with Karen Chrisman, COT.
Here.
Okay. Gabrielle Soumet, Kenton County. Brandy Groves, Education and Labor Cabinet.
I'm here.
Okay, and Jill Cook, Personnel Cabinet.
I'm here and I'm still working on my settings here. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, great. We'll begin with the approval of the February 13th meeting minutes. Is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes from Thursday, February 13th?
I move to make a motion to approve.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion carried. Great. Okay, so for our agenda items today, we're going to have several local government revisions and additions as well as state. So we will start off with our local revisions under review with David Asa. Let me get our screen shared so we can get his materials shared. Forgive me, I'm just trying to figure out how to share the screen right here. All right, just making sure all of our meeting minutes are available. All right, David, for your additions under review.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Taylor. And good morning to everyone. This morning, I am presenting an addition to the schedule, Series L6986, vacant property register file. This came to our attention from a city in Kentucky asking about documents and retention, and we found out that we didn't have a record in the retention schedule for this record. And basically what they are, the register is from cities and counties use ordinances to address vacant property issues that they may have in their counties. So I've talked to a number of counties and cities in the state that have these type of ordinances. So we're looking to add it to the general schedule for those locales. And basically what it does, it documents the registration of vacant properties with the local government. Again, the ordinances empower a local government to maintain an accurate registration of vacant buildings and properties. And basically it's just for their areas to prevent blight and hopefully encourage some economic development. The contents, as you see on the screen there, these may contain contents, the registration form itself, property address, parcel number, the name of the owner or the entity of holding, the preservation company, which is in the same category as the owner of the entity of holding, any type of local maintenance provider, the date the property became vacant, inspection reports, communications and proof of occupancy. And we are proposing a 2-year retention after the file is closed. There are a number of different ways that the file closure can occur. It can be that the property was sold. It can be the property was placed on the market. It could be that the property was someone has moved in. So I left that kind of broad because there are different triggers that the local governments use to close the files. So that's it in a nutshell, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, without any questions first, is there a motion to recommend approval?
I so move.
Okay. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay. All right, motion carries. And to the next one we will have under review is for Brian Wixom. All right, Brian.
Thank you, Taylor. Good morning, everybody. I'm proposing 2 additions to the general schedule. The first one, Series L6980, is the firearms transaction record. This is a form that is filled out by sellers of firearms, and it is sent to the chief law enforcement officer in the area. So this could go to a sheriff, to a chief of police, even state police, if they're the primary law enforcement in the area where the transaction happens. The seller is required to retain it as a permanent record in their files as long as they are in business. By the federal government. The federal government has a different retention for the chief law enforcement officers, which I have tried to mimic in this revision that I've made. The last time I presented this, concerns were raised about the proposed retention. Folks were afraid that the federal retention had a caveat that these were to be destroyed except in the cases of, and the previous advisory had a concern about that. So I revised to hopefully address that concern. The new proposed retention, and again, the original retention was also designed to adhere to more modern archive standards with a very specific trigger. I have instead, for this revision, mimicked the federal language as closely as possible. And then at the end, I added a sentence for what to do in case of the exception. And I'll read that for you now. The new proposed retention. Whoa. Where are you going?
Oh, sorry. Oh, I apologize. I'm so sorry.
No, you're great. You're great. You're awesome. The new proposed retention is retain the form and any record of the contents thereof no longer than 20 days after receipt, then destroy. And then here comes that exception, except in the case of forms and contents thereof regarding a purchaser who is prohibited by federal law from the receipt of a firearm. And then here comes what I added. In such cases, the form becomes a part of the relevant investigation file. And again, we're just trying to do this so the police have correct instructions in what to do whether it's just a normal everything's okay form and they can destroy it within 20 days, or whether it hits that exception that's been built into the federal retention, and then what to do with it afterwards. So that is the revision to the old. David went over the contents and all that too. Do you want me to go over that? I can.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'll scroll down to that.
Thank you. So the function and use, this record series represents forms received by, whoa, where'd you go?
It's a little bit smaller. Let's see if I can make it bigger again.
Oh, I have my own version. I could just read it from here.
Okay.
Function and use. This record series represents forms received from dealers reporting the sale of firearms and firearm accessories in accordance with Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms regulations. As far as access, agencies should consult legal counsel. The series may contain information such as weapon manufacturer, weapon serial number and specs, transferee's name, address, place of birth, social security number, height, weight, sex, birthday, ethnic information, citizenship information, and transferor's name. And that's everything I have for the firearms transaction record proposal. I'm also proposing an additional related addition to the records retention schedule, series L6985, firearms transaction record certification. And this is also required by the U.S. code that applies to the firearm transaction record. Not only are chief law enforcement officers required to destroy the form within 20 days of receipt, they're also required to send a certification that those destructions have occurred to the Attorney General. And so Series L6985 lets them file and retain and eventually dispose of their copy of that report after they've sent a copy to the Attorney General. The proposed retention is retained for 1 year, then destroy. The rationale is that the certifications are required every 6 months. And so if they retain them for a year, that means they always have the last 2 cycles of that available for requests. And the function and use. This series represents certification sent to the Attorney General of the United States that no improper disclosure of the firearms transaction records or contents thereof has occurred, and that each such form and any record of the contents thereof have been destroyed no more than 20 days from the date such form was received. The series may contain the name of the certifying agency and the name of the certifying agent, and that series may contain as necessarily truncated just because the feds don't want the contents of these disclosed. So generally the Clios will probably just put, I'm the certifying agent, this is my agency, we did destroy these as we were required. And again, that retention and disposition 1 year, then destroy. And those are the proposals.
All right, great. Does anybody have any questions about either of those proposals? Okay, if there's no questions, is there a motion to recommend approval?
Move to recommend approval.
And a second?
A second.
Okay. All right, so moved. Those will be recommended for approval. All right, great. And for our next schedule that we'll be looking at, it will be for Rebecca Haldmeyer, again, also for the local general schedule.
All right. Good morning, everybody. So I have 3 total today. 2 are ready to be, 1 is ready to be presented for approval with the commission, and 2 are ready to go under review. So the one that is ready to be presented to the commission for approval is the Occupational Safety and Health Inspections and Investigations file, which is a new Series L6981. I have brought this to you guys before, so it might seem familiar. We've gone through a couple of different updates and edits to it to try to make it clearer who does what in the whole process, and to clear up the retention a little bit. So the changes that have been made are basically to make it clear that these are investigations run by either state office of safety and health, or in very limited cases for the local governments, the federal OSHA agency. And then to also to make it clear that the series, as it's held by the local agencies, are actually just duplicates of those state and federal agencies. They're getting the investigations file back from those other agencies. I did notice I have a typo in the retention. So the actual retention, sorry, Taylor, is on the second page.
Okay.
I didn't notice till this morning. But the updated retention and disposition is to retain for 5 years after inspection and investigation closure, then destroy. The 5 years itself has not been updated from when I previously presented to you, but the trigger for that, the after inspection and investigation closure, has been updated. So that is the one that's ready to be presented to the commission for approval. And then I have 2 additional ones that are ready to go under review. They are related to each other. So the first is a deletion from the schedule, Series L4958, which is currently official minutes of subsidiary boards, commissions, and authorities. And the revision is to Series L4938 official minutes. So when we're looking at these, they're basically the same series in 2 different places on the schedule, but they cover official minutes. Like, minutes are minutes, they're all permanent. So we're putting them into one series to kind of clear that up. There have been some instances where in some cases a local agency will have the official minutes of their board, which will also include those subsidiary boards in it, but then they'd keep another copy under the other series. So to kind of cut down on some of that duplication for them, and to make it clear that all meeting minutes at this level are permanent and should be retained. So while doing it, we also went ahead and updated the retention. Instead of retained permanently, it's retained 1 copy permanently. So again, to show that it's permanent, but since you only have to have that 1 record copy. So those 2 are ready to go under review. I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can.
Okay, hearing no questions, is there a motion to recommend approval for the addition and the revisions under review to move forward?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. And second?
I will second.
Okay, motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Rebecca. Okay, and then the final revisions that we will be looking at today will be for the general schedule for state agencies, and that will be Catherine today.
Good morning. So this is a revision to the miscellaneous section of the general schedule for state agencies. I have 1 deletion, 20 retention revisions, and 15 administrative changes. The retention revisions are largely just cleaning up the language and making it consistent with our current language of removing agency where it's not needed, or just saying retain permanently instead of retaining multiple copies, because we have to consider like electronic records now and how many records are being created and maintained in permanently electronic formats. probably the biggest retention changes or retention revisions are to Series M0002, routine correspondence and messages. The current retention is retained no longer than 2 years. The proposed retention is retained 2 years, then destroy. And that proposed retention removes the inconsistency and confusion of no longer, where we relied on agencies to set their own retention for routine correspondence. That's not in line with most of our retention periods, so this just keeps it at 2 years. And then the next probably biggest change is to audio video recordings. Similar to the photographs that were proposed, that had a proposed revision change last time that was approved. Instead of the current retention, which is transferred to the State Archive Center when administrative value has ceased, for recordings that have been uploaded to social media sites, original or source recordings should be transferred. The proposed retention is to retain until administrative value has ceased, consult with Archives and Records Management Division staff for transfer to the archives, and that's so that we are not getting an unreasonable volume of audio video recordings of state agency activities that maybe we don't need because it's like multiple recordings of the same event or something. So that way we're able to work with the agencies to determine which recordings actually need to be retained permanently in the state archives. And then the 15 administrative changes, those were largely grammar corrections and to remove series may contain from the contents. That's just formatting stuff, no major changes there. And then the one deletion is to series M0053, electronic messages. Electronic messages, this series was describing the form of communication. It's not a record itself. Electronic messages would be reflected in correspondence or a reference material. So it didn't need to be a separate series. And so we're just clarifying, or we're just deleting that to align with the guidance and the guidance that we provide to state agencies about electronic messages. Are there any questions or anything?
Okay, great. Then is there a motion to recommend approval for these revisions?
Motion to recommend approval.
Okay, and is there a second?
A second.
Okay, so moved. Great. And those were the retention schedule revisions that we had scheduled for today. On our agenda, we do have space for other business. So if anybody has any other business that they'd like to share in this moment, we can. I will say I'm still looking for additional members for our advisory committee here to try and get additional opinions for this advisory committee. So if anybody has any additional recommendations for people who they think would fit well for this committee, please send them my way. I will be sending out some cold call type emails within the coming weeks to try and get more attendance here. But other than that, do we have a motion to adjourn today?
I have other business.
Oh, sorry, Catherine. Sorry. Go ahead.
So the next meeting of this body, I think is like November. But before then, we celebrate Archives Month in October, and we are planning to have an open house on October 8th, I think. you all will be invited. I'm going to add your name to a list of invitations that will go out. So hopefully you're able to drop in and visit KDLA. It's going to be located at 300 Coffee Tree Road. More information will come your way about the time and for sure the correct date. I'm pretty sure it's October 8th. So hope to see you there. And if you all want to meet anyone in particular, we'll all be there too. So yeah, invitations will be going out soon for our open house and just for our general celebration of Archives Month in October.
Great. And
Thank
Rusty
you.
did confirm that will be October 8th. Great. Again, I'll make a motion or I'll ask for a motion to adjourn for today.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, great, Karen. Thanks so much. A second.
A
I don't
second.
know. All right, great. So moved. So great. Thank you everybody for today's meeting. And we will send out more information about the open house and next quarter's meeting here soon.